This standard Dodge import has an overhead cam engine to go fast on American highways. This Dodge import has four-wheel drive to hold fast where there are no highways. This Dodge import has sporty wheels and stripes to look fast even standing still. But all three have something guaranteed to make them move fast. The right prices, as low as $57.88. Ram 50, imported for Dodge, built by Mitsubishi.
Hey there, hey, this is Jaybo. Welcome to Jaybo's Driveway, home of the polished anal passage byproduct. That's kind of a subject today is kind of what's up with the D50 project. What we got going here is a little cart before the horse kind of stuff going on. That was about 6-7 months ago. I picked up a couple of bucket seats. These are out of I think a 1999 Honda of some sort. But the seats are really nice, and they've got these little, you know, you adjust the front and the back. Kind of cool, and they're lightweight, being a condo box stuff. I gotta rough this one in place yet, but I've got the brackets kind of built for this here and there, and they went in really nice. Anyway, yeah, got that going. Picked up a tack at a swap meet for like 20 bucks. I needed a ground wire kind of resoldered into place, so I got that. That'll go in this. So it's kind of neat. It's got a little shift light kind of on it, so kind of a nice, neat little wiener package. Anyway, so I don't have any storage here whatsoever. So the truck itself is actually kind of its own storage unit. And I've got a radiator. Picked this up at a swap meet, 50 bucks. I just got all kinds of miscellaneous stuff that's going to be kind of involved in putting this thing together. So anyway, damn it. Yeah, I replaced these too. So the struts. But anyway, I got see, this rig still has its original 2.0. Now this thing's only has like yeah, it's got 84.5. All right. Previous owner probably parked it because, you know, we actually drove this thing around the block, and it's just got a hell of a death wobble to it. So they probably parked it, and they just never got around to fixing it. So anyway, 2.0. The data plate says it's a G63B, which I guess that's 2.0. I don't know. All right. Data plate also says trans and axle MA904. So this got a 904 based automatic transmission behind the little Japanese Mitsubishi 4-banger. So anyway, and then this number here, this is the transaxle. So it's basically a 354 or 355. So it's got a 355 rear axle. All right. So as far as axles go, optional axles, or maybe they were standard in the 4-speed version of this, could have been a 350, probably a 355, or a 391. So you can actually put a 391. The rear axle itself is considered an 8-inch. All right, and it has the dropout carrier. It's very, very similar to an 8 3/4 rear axle. Let's see. So 391 was an option. They actually make an optional 422. Okay, and then there's another optional. I think they came out of Raiders, like Dodge Raiders, but there's a 466, 462, 466. But anyway, and some of them did come with limited slip differential, and you can tell if that you have limited slip if I think there's an orange like kind of dot sticker somewhere in the door. I don't know if it's on the wherever. But anyway, and I believe it probably says something to do with it'll say something somewhere on the truck relating to the limited slip differential additive that you need to add to it. So you should be able to find out pretty easily if yours is equipped with limited slip, that is. So anyway, I think for our intention, we're kind of on the prowl for a 391 if we can find it, but for right now we're kind of behind the 8 ball with this 355, so that's what we're going to stick with, you know, initially. So we'll get her up and running with 355s. Let's see, as far as rust on this, it's got a dose of it right there. All right, and that, I don't know if that'll sand out, but it's pretty bad. You see the rocker panel right there needs it. The frame underneath is it's in solid condition. It's a little scaly in places, not too bad. Here's the kind of the worst spot to me, and that's kind of right at this windshield wiper pivot. So this is bad enough that it's going to require taking this window seal out, and probably taking the windshield out, replacing the seal. This seal is just dry rotted all to hell. So, but anyway, so anyway, back to our little 4-banger. This thing here is, you know, if you need this, hit us up, you know, down in the comments, you know, get a hold of us. You know, we need to let this thing go. I'll touch it off here, see if it even starts. But so that's for sale. The transmission's for sale. Eventually the camper topper would be for sale. These are, I think they're kind of hard to come by. It's I think it's a 7-foot box or a 6.5-foot box. It's kind of an odd box, I guess, what I'm trying to say. But and this is specifically for a D50. So, and they don't make these anymore. But anyway, I went ahead and I primed the carburetor. So I'm gonna twist the key and see if it starts up. It actually runs good initially on high idle, but once it gets warmed up and it gets off a high idle, then it'll want to die. And I believe the accelerator pump is probably shot in this thing, and probably the idle circuit itself too is it just has debris in it. I mean, the thing is, I mean, a guy could actually, you know, rebuild this carburetor, but look at it. 1986, this is a couple years probably before fuel injection, so it's whatever it is. It's a Merkin, whatever the hell carburetor. I don't know, that translates from the Japanese to vagina wick carburetor, I guess, somehow. But it's just something I don't really want to get into. So, but it runs decent. So the rust on it looks to me like it's relatively easy to fix, but yeah, so we need to kind of hit on that, but anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and shut it off. Temp gauge and fuel gauge, I guess probably got an oil pressure light, but it's never come on. Some of the optional sports they had, I believe they had a gauge package down here that might have been oil pressure and what else, maybe an amp meter or something. Oh, there we go. Shove that annoying son of a... I got it, okay. So this project, let's start at the beginning, okay? So this project for me started back in the early 90s, like 92, 93, 94, 94-ish. All right, and at that time I've been a subscriber to Mopar Action since the beginning of Mopar Action. So to this day, actually I get two copies of it this past year for some odd reason. Anyway, at the time, the guys with Mopar Action, they were kind of looking around and they discovered that Dodge Plymouth Chrysler did not have a rear wheel drive vehicle other than trucks in their fleet of Mopars or whatever, cars that were available at the time. The last rear wheel drive car was probably the 89 Dodge Diplomat, Chrysler Fifth Avenues, those cars, those M-body cars. F-body was gone probably by 80, 81 or whatever. J cars, I don't know, like the Imperials, I don't know when those phased out, maybe 82, 83. But anyway, that was it. With the exception of pickup trucks, they had pickup trucks, you know, that were rear-wheel drive, you know, front engine, rear-wheel drive vehicles. All the other vehicles were all front drivers, even their bigger cars like the LHSs, the New Yorkers, and so on and so forth. What else was there? The whatever. Anyway, Concord? No, what the hell was it? I can't remember. Anyway, so the guys at Mopar Action, they set out to build their own little kind of ripper, and they were going to build it on based on the Dodge Dakota at the time. So they optioned out, and I can't remember what year it was. It was like 93, 94, 95 or whatever. They went to the dealership, and they actually spec'd a Dodge Dakota that was a stripper. So it was regular cab, short box, no options. They might have compromised on air conditioning, I think. So anyway, these guys, they got it in their possession. Then they upgraded. I think they upgraded new wheels, new aluminum wheels. I believe they put some stiffer body bushings, like poly body bushings. They did a Ranchero kind of like traction aid. It was kind of a shock absorber that mounted to the rear axle or whatever. They did a handful of things, and they tested the truck, and I think it went. It was in the 14-second range, whatever, which, you know, for the time is pretty crazy. And then Mopar finally came around in 1998 with the introduction of the Dodge Dakota RT 5.9 RT. So that first year they built 1,400 of these, and that's kind of what they should have did years ago. I mean, when they knew that they could put the 318 in the Dakota, they should have put the 360 in it too. You know, why not? It just, you know. But anyway, the RT, and we actually own one. We've owned one since, we've owned a 1998 Dodge Dakota RT since 2000. So, and it's been a fun truck. We've actually raced it. It'll run, it can run consistent 15 flat, and I think we've got a best ET of 1498 with it. I've raced it before, and it would be 1520s or whatever, rather consistently. Especially if you kind of hot lap it, it would be in that 1520 kind of range. So not really impressive by today's standards, but not too bad, not too shabby for, you know, back in '98, you know. But anyway, what I'm getting at is, so in this Mopar Action article, they had a sub-article, and it stated that, you know, we can't afford the monthly nut of a new vehicle. And I don't remember what their Dakota, what it cost. It was probably under 20,000, I'm guessing. Can't afford the monthly nut of a new vehicle? Hey, how about, you know, build your own like these guys did? And there were these little pictures. There were like 4 little pictures. They were like 1.5 by 1.5 little pictures, 4 of them. And the article described how these guys actually shoehorned a 360 into a Dodge D50. And by the time they got done with it, they had $2,600 invested in the build of the truck. And I thought to myself, you know, I tell you what, it just really appealed to me. And I thought to myself, I could probably build this thing for way cheaper. And then I did. So I actually ended up building one. This is back in '95, I believe. I built one with a 360 904 combination. This one was already a 5-speed vehicle, so it came through with the 391s. It was limited slip also, for a while anyway. We threw a G-Tech on it, which was kind of the 1990s version of a draggy, and we clicked off a 13.7, and that was with my friend riding shotgun. He's 200 pounds, so if you minus him out of the picture, it's probably a 13.5 second quarter mile ET. So, and we did all of that for the total cost of $1,200, and that included $200 for the cost of the truck itself. So the truck, I picked it up from a friend. He had the I don't know if it was a 2.6 or 2.0. He had that pulled out, and I think he was doing a timing chain job on it, and then he just totally lost interest in it. But this was a 1980 Dodge D50 Sport, which was kind of cool because it came through with bucket seats and kind of the sports steering wheel. It had the thing was yellow, and then it had yellow spoked wheels. They were 14-inch. But anyway, yeah, we pieced it together. You know, just for example, I threw an aluminum battery box together and bolted it into the rear of the box. I had $1 in that. It was made out of 1/8-inch aluminum. And basically, it was kind of a home project at work. Anything that was considered scrap, you could take out for $1. So I had $1 in that, but beautiful piece. I mean, it was kind of neat. The radiator, I think the radiator that used in the Mopar Action article came out of a Chevy Mazda or whatever. I found an aluminum one at a swap meet that kind of fit, and you actually got to kind of fit this thing into the radiator core support, so because you need that extra space for the engine. The engine. So okay, part of what it really appeals to me about this project is the simplicity of it. So okay, knowing what we know now, there is actually a 904 based automatic transmission behind the Japanese 4-banger engine. Okay, so with that in mind, you can actually take a 360 with a 904 behind it and then shoehorn it in place, so the drive shaft slips right into the transmission. The speedometer bolts right into where the speedometer goes. The shifter mechanism, it bolts right in just like stock. The only thing you might have trouble with or difficulty with is maybe a kickdown arrangement, but maybe a low car cable would be adequate. I solved that issue basically with Transgo TF3 reprogramming kit, and then I didn't need to worry about the kickdown mechanism at all. The transmission cross member, it bolts right to the 904. Okay, so all the stuff from the engine back basically is all plug and play stuff. So that's pretty cool. So all you got to worry about is fabricating motor mounts. And I actually made some templates of the motor mounts left and right. Okay, if you would want a copy of those templates, I mean, we could probably make them available. Maybe I'll throw it down in the description, you know, how to get a hold of us as far as that goes. But pretty simple. The motor mounts basically consisted of some 3x3 square tubing, okay, and then I welded those to some 2x3 angle, 1/8-inch wall angle, and then those angles went on the frame, and then the mounts went bolted right to the engine. If it makes any sense or whatever, you'll see that in the future coming up. What else is there? I think that's about it. But anyway, it's just okay. So for our new one, our parameters are, we had a couple of different ways we wanted to go about this. We wanted to kind of go about it in stages. First was just initially getting it up and running and moving under its own power with the present combination the way it sits just now, and then make it be its own parts chaser, which would eventually lead to its own demise, I guess, or whatever. And then the second step, and that's what we're going to do now, is just bolt it together kind of the way I just described, and then get it up and running, see what it'll do. Maybe by next spring or whatever, we'll take it to the strip if it's together and it's going to hold together or whatever, and just see what it does. So the previous build, of course, was with an LA-based 360. This current one will be with a 5.9 Magnum engine. So I don't know. And then we're going to build a killer automatic for it. Look for that in our future, probably the next episode. We're going to go over the build of the D50's transmission in our next episode. So I don't know. That's about all I wanted to say, I think. So anyway, yeah, stay tuned, and things are going to start happening pretty soon, I hope. So anyway, this has been maybe a couple of years in the making. So just collecting parts and stuff and trying to do it with a budget kind of in mind. And that gets back to how we're going to build this, I guess. Our budget is, we're going to try to build this thing with a budget of $3,000. Okay, in this day and age, that's a little more realistic. You know, when I built the first one, we had $1,200 in it, but inflation, it just kind of kills everything. But there are still deals out there if you just kind of pick around it, if you can bide your time or whatever, and search for good deals. Yeah, as far as costs go, we're gonna be totally transparent with this whole build, so you'll know every nickel that we spent on it for the most part. I've got a spreadsheet in the house right now that I've got, and it lists every nut and bolt basically for the most part. So just for example, the truck itself was $800. The 5.9 Magnum, we've already got that secured. It's in another location right now. It's 140,000 mile unit. It was $400. The transmission we picked up just a little while ago for I think 125 bucks. Yeah, down in Dubuque, Iowa. The rebuild kit itself for that transmission, I probably got $400 into it. So you can kind of see where that's going. I mean, right now, as far as my spreadsheet is concerned, I think I've got probably $2,400 in everything so far. So, and that's where kind of this video comes into play. You know, if this would lead to the sale of the engine and maybe the topper or whatever, that will kind of offset some costs there, so I can actually afford, you know, to purchase more items for it and still keep it under that $3,000 range. And it would be nice as a side bonus is if we can get this thing to run just touch 12 seconds for $3,000. I guess that's the idea. So, you know, maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. Stage 2 would be, or the next stage from this would be setting that engine back. Right now, when you leave the transmission at a stock location, it actually pushes the engine. The engine actually is about the distributor cap in the small block is about 4 inches away from the firewall. So you can actually move it back 4 inches. Maybe you can get more out of it, I don't know. But, and of course the steering linkage and all that stuff needs to be factored in, so we'll take a look at it and we'll see what we can do. But it would be nice to be able to shove that motor back, because it is quite a ways forward, which is not where that needs to be. It needs to be back, you know, as much as you can get away with. So stage 2 might be that. Stage 2 would also hopefully incorporate, we've daydreamed about installing an A500 based 4-speed automatic, and so we just haven't had one fall in our lap yet. But that's a 42 RH transmission. It'd be nice to get the hydraulic version of it as opposed to the electric version. I don't even know how that, if you got to plug in a standalone computer or whatever to make the transmission work. I have no idea. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at. That's what we're kind of leaning toward. Yeah. And then Blake kind of fantasizes about making it a drag and drive type vehicle. Maybe the way it kind of sits right now with 355s, you could probably drive it. You could drive it from event to event. It would be kind of neat, you know, to look at that. If we let the camper shell on top of it, maybe a guy could camp in it. You know, at least you got a place to put all your stuff anyway. So just something to think about. So anyway. Alrighty. So stay tuned for next episode. We're gonna crack into our A904 build. Like, share, and subscribe.
こんなところで終わっちまうくらいならわざわざ生き残るかよ。来るぜ。
Save it for a rainy day. 904 torque plate rebuild. I said save it. Woo woo woo. Save it for a rainy day. 904 torque plate rebuild. I said save it. Woo woo woo. Save it for a rainy day. 904 torque flight rebuild. Save it. Save it for a rainy day.
Zip it.
In the hell.
Hold on a second.
904 torque flight rebuild.